Hi, we finished the inspection at 1585 South Carpenter Road. The reason that I'm doing this video here in my vehicle is because the sellers in the property, the husband had to go to work, and they were kind of, they had us there all day, so I understand they were looking for us to go. So I departed the property, and I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis here of how it went. It went rather well. I'm going to talk about the major components on this video, and then I'm going to let the inspection report give you most of the other information so that you have a complete picture. Keep in mind, a home inspection is not a perfect science, but it's a general description and inspection of the entire property, which can be quite tedious. So we didn't want to overwhelm you, but we wanted to get you accurate information to the best of our ability, and that's how we approached it. We arrived at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and Jason, who assisted me, was there till about 1:30. He had gone through every room, kitchen, bathroom, ran the appliances, and did all of that part of it. And for me, I got there around 9 o'clock as well, and I did all the major components, which was the roof, the structure, the air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical. Now, on the roof is about 12 years old, going on 13. It's wearing pretty normal. I don't really have any issues with the roof at all. I mean, you have a fiberglass roll roof on the flat sections. You have architectural shingles on the pitched areas, and both materials look like they're wearing about as expected for a 12, 13-year-old roof. I'm going to say you probably have somewhere between 5 and 7 years left on the roof materials, which is a good life expectancy. As far as the attic goes, a couple of improvements I would recommend. I don't think that the vent fans at the gables are working, and there aren't any ridge vents installed, but you do have the soffit vents. I would think improving the attic ventilation would be a good first step. You can either have the gable vent fans serviced to make sure they're working, because when we tested them, they didn't respond. If they are working, then problem solved. But if they're not working, you can either replace them or you can improve ventilation. The reason ventilation is important is so that the roof shingles do in fact last another 5 to 7 years, because excessive heat in the attic can cause premature wear of the materials over time. So that would be the priority on the roof. There were a couple areas that looked like roof leaks, and those roof leaks were at the fireplace chimneys in the attic at the roof deck. Now keep in mind, sometimes leaks do look like a roof leak, and they're in fact not a roof leak. And in this case, these leaks, I believe, are coming from very specific locations where there's cracks in the fireplace chimneys that are allowing water in only when the wind blows. So if you get a lot of wind and rain, the cracks that I'm seeing are allowing the water to get in, which could explain why when I found the stained areas at the roof deck, when I tested them, they're testing that they've been recently wet. So we're going to call that an active leaking condition and warrants further evaluation. I do not think it's leaking from the flashing. My gut is telling me, based on visual assessment and having done this for a while, that it's more likely that the water's getting in from the cracks, because those cracks allow water to get in and bypass any flashed areas that might be at the junction of the roof and the chimney. So that's the story on the roof. On the plumbing, you're connected to a public water meter. I've located the water meter at the front street side. It's at the northwest corner, and the water pressure in that area is on the lower side. So I think that may be something that'd be very difficult to address. It's less than 40 pounds per square inch, but the flow is okay. So if that's something you want to look into to see if there's a way to resolve that, we would recommend it, because it's not acceptable range for us is between 40 and 80 psi. So how you want to pursue that is up to you. I don't really know how you go about fixing that on the public system. It could just be that the house is so elevated from the street that could be playing a part in the water pressure drop from the meter all the way up to the house. The home is on a septic system. Septic system is located right out the walkout basement patio area. I wasn't able to really do much in way of inspecting the drain field, but things are draining in the house. Nothing was obstructed. And I would approach that as finding out when the last time they got the septic serviced, see if you can get some documentation from them. And then if not, I would recommend having a septic inspection done. I think that would be a good idea, just to be sure, because we don't know how old that system is, and it would be good to have more information. On the electrical system, pretty good overall, but the main components, you have a 200 amp service disconnect fuse box in the garage, and then a 400 amp service disconnect fuse box in the garage. Fuses are antiquated and they're considered kind of outdated, so you may want to look into updating them. Right now they seem like they're doing what they're supposed to do. The only challenge that I found when I was inspecting the electrical section is when I used infrared, some of the fuses are running much hotter than they ought to be. So that would be something in our report to focus on that the electrician should look at. But the vast majority of everything overall inspected pretty well. So I think our main focus is going to be the fuse boxes in the garage. And then I did have some improperly terminated electrical wiring and some unsafe wiring where the well used to be installed, which is if you go up the left side of the driveway to the back, you'll see a concrete structure. In there, you're going to find where the well used to be. It's terminated now, but the electrical is not terminated properly that used to connect to that equipment. As far as the air conditioning systems, I inspected them all. They're all functional and working condition right now. I do have some items to repair, but for the most part, when I look at HVAC systems, I'm looking for performance, and I'm looking for if they're maintained okay, and installation. So I'm going to make some notes in your report about installation and some of the things that we see, but as far as functioning, all 5 of them are working. And looking at the structure, it's a pretty solid building. I mean, you're talking about a walkout basement foundation with concrete block masonry all the way up to the top, and with red brick cladding. So it's a pretty strong building, and it's pretty well insulated building, I would say. So I didn't really have any big red flags with structure. There is a French drainage system on the property. I would encourage you to see when the last time they had that serviced is, just to be sure that it's not clogged, and if they haven't had it serviced, maybe who they do use, or if they don't use anyone specific, it might be worth looking into, just so that you know from the start that you're starting on a maintenance schedule, that those drains are clear and unobstructed. There's no evidence of a drainage issue now or backing up or anything like that, just FYI on that. Water heaters I looked at as part of the plumbing system. I've got, we talked about you being connected to a water meter, but we also checked 3 water heaters, and I'll put that information in the report. All 3 of them are heating the water at this time. As far as I'm concerned, the big picture to me is it's a strong building, and I think that the people who are there have done a decent job of maintaining what's there. Yes, it has some challenges as far as items to address, repair, or maybe better maintain, but most of the homes that we inspect usually have those typical type of items. So I'm going to say on the roof structure, I'm going to say it inspected fairly well. On the plumbing, the same thing, fairly well. Not excellent, not bad, right in the middle. Air condition is the same thing, not excellent, not bad, right in the middle. And just about every other aspect of what we looked at, it's the same story. I think it's got a lot of potential, and I think it could be a great house for the right people. And depending upon your budget, your preferences, and what you're looking for, you compare what we found to what you're looking for, and hopefully it works out. I wish you a lot of luck. And thank you very much for your business. We really appreciate you working with us on this one. Have a good day.